Let's test this. Oh, that is brutal. Whoa! Oh my God, that cannot be right. Welcome back to another video, guys, where you join me on a freezing day here in Perth, but I'm not complaining because after nearly 2.5 years of ownership, it's finally tuning day for the RS3. That's right, we're going to be strapping this thing to a dyno, doing an ECU tune and see how much power we can squeeze out of the little 2.5 5-cylinder. We're going to be matching that with a DSG tune as well, just to improve the shifting of the gearbox and to make sure that it can handle the extra power that we're putting through. So we're on our way to Eurospec, where it's finally time to tune my RS3. So just before we get started in the video, make sure you smash that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out, helps me keep bringing you content like this. But let's talk tunes. So in the VW world, they always talk about stage 1, stage 1 plus, stage 2, stage 2 plus, and all that kind of stuff. But effectively, all we're doing is we're tuning the car to the maximum with the supporting mods that it has. Now, in my case, the supporting mods basically is just a cold air intake. Yes, the car does have a catback exhaust, but in terms of tuning, that doesn't make a whole lot of difference. If it had a full exhaust system, then that would be a different story. So if you wanted to give it a label, I guess today we're going to a stage 1 plus. A stage 1 just being an ECU tune for a car that has no mods, and I guess the plus to say, okay, it's got a cold air intake, so we might get a little bit more power thanks to that. So we're just about to rock up to Eurospec, where a guy named Phil, who's the owner and operator, is going to be working on the car. He's an absolute gun with VW family type vehicles. And I might even ask him to chuck in a little bit of an overrun crackle map or something like that. I don't want to be obnoxious, I don't want anything crazy, just a little pop or whatever on deceleration. Because generally this car is pretty quiet on decel compared to other RS3s. So anyway, we'll see what he can do. Yeah, it should be a good day. So now it's time to get the RS3 onto the dyno, do a couple of base runs and see what we're starting out with. All right, that's the base run done, and I'm happy to report that we've got a good, healthy engine under the bonnet. The base run came out with 294 kilowatts at the wheels or something like that, and about 497 Newton meters of torque, which when you compare it to the factory specs is pretty much spot on. So we've got a good base to start with. We've obviously got the cold air intake, which is helping things along a little bit, but now it's time to turn up the wick. We're loading the tune onto the ECU and we'll do another run and see how much power and torque we actually pick up. Okay, the tune is done and we've picked up an incredible around 90 Newton meters of torque. We're up at around 580 Newton meters of torque, and you're definitely going to feel that when you're driving this car. It's going to pull like an absolute freight train. Power is up around 25 kilowatts, so it's not a huge jump, but we're limited by the turbo at this point. So if we want to increase more power, we're going to need to free up the exhaust with a downpipe. And of course the intercooler, the factory intercooler, isn't that efficient, so that would need to be changed as well. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the results. It's time to take it for a drive and see what it actually feels like.
A few moments later.
So this is the sort of guy that Phil is. With that run complete, he wasn't quite happy with the outcome. He said the car was pulling a little bit of timing and it didn't seem quite right. So he went back in there. He's actually changed the spark plugs for some NGK racing spark plugs and the coil suppressors as well. And suddenly this thing has picked up another 10 kilowatts. It's not pulling timing and is a whole lot happier. So now we're sitting at 335 kilowatts and a massive 600 Newton meters of torque, which is absolutely insane. So I can't thank Phil enough for all the work that he's done and just going that extra mile just to make things absolutely perfect. But now it's time to jump in the car and see what it's like to drive. I can't wait. Hey guys, welcome to 2 days ago. I found a nice private piece of road where we can test our 0 to 100 time before the car gets tuned. So this will pretty much be our baseline. So I've got my specialist timing gear here. Let me find a straight piece of road and we'll get launch control set up and see what this car can do. Okay, we're in dynamic mode. Foot all the way on the brake, all the way on the throttle, and oh my god, I forgot how crazy this thing was. Ugh. That's 100. Whoa. Okay. Whew. She's quick. All right, looking at my specialist timing gear, that was a 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.7 seconds. All right, that's pretty fast. I cannot imagine what's going to happen when it gets tuned. Hopefully it's faster. Now, obviously we didn't do the quarter mile run, you know, safety and all that kind of stuff. It has done a quarter mile run actually when I first got the car, and it recorded 11.85 or something like that. So when the track opens up again, we'll definitely take this thing down. Now that we know the baseline, we know the 0 to 100, we know the quarter mile time of a stock RS3, and then we'll compare it once this thing is tuned. So there you go guys, that is the 0 to 100 time of a stock RS3. Now it's back to today. So I've been driving around with the tune for a couple of days now, and I can tell you, yes, it does make a big difference. Let's start with the actual DSG tune that was put on. Now in normal drive mode like we are now, it would always change up really soon. But like right now I'm in drive and it actually holds the gears a little bit longer. So it makes drive mode just a little bit more useful. Same can be said in sports mode. So if I shift the gear lever down, obviously the car changes down and it's a more aggressive shift in sports mode, but now it doesn't hold it quite as long. So if you're just kind of cruising or whatever, it'll actually change at a sensible place. And then when you slow down, it'll change back down for you. So a little bit more intuitive, I have to say. In terms of the actual gear shifts, really snappy, really sharp, to the point sometimes where it's actually sort of snapped my head back a bit. So really impressive on that. But what about the engine tune? So, you know, we've got our 335 kilowatts now and 600 Newton meters of torque. How does that translate to how this thing drives? Well, I'm on a twisty backcountry road, and I can tell you, if I put my foot down, oh, Jesus. Yeah, it gets moving. I tell you what, it really gets moving. Really good progressive power as well. And can you hear those backfires or crackles and pops or whatever you want to call it? Okay, it's a bit of a gimmick, but it's kind of cool, right? The other thing that I would comment on is that the induction noise is greatly increased. So you really get that sort of whooshing sound from the air filter. I suppose it depends what air filter you've got. But with the integrated engineering one that I've got on, when you're in low RPMs and you really load it up like I am now, oh, you can really hear it drawing all that air into the engine, which is really cool as well. And you do get a bit more sound from the blow-off valve as well. But what we all really want to know is how much faster is it than a stock RS3? So we did our baseline run a couple of days ago, as you saw. I think we did a 12-second quarter mile and a 3.7 0 to 100, which I've got to say is a lot better than what Audi claims this car to be. So this should be a 4.1. Now, yes, we do have an air filter on there, but it shouldn't make that much difference. To be honest, it's not the first time I've heard that these cars are actually quicker than they're stated to be. But nevertheless, I'm going to set up my specialized timing gear and we'll do a bit of a quarter mile run and a 0 to 100 time and see how much time we've gained with the Stage 1 Plus Eurospec tune. Okay, we found ourselves a private road out the back country somewhere. Let's test this 0 to 100 and quarter mile run time. All right, foot on the brake, throttle, launch at 4,000. Oh my God. Whoa! Yep, that's sketchy. That is sketchy. Oh. Okay, let me just change my pants and we'll check out the time. Oh my Lord. I think we better get out of here. All right, just pulled over, taking a breath. It was very exhilarating. Okay, let's have a look at the time. Oh my God, that cannot be right. Whoa. So we have come from a 12-second quarter mile, and keep in mind on this run, we got a lot of wheel spin in first gear, and it has still done an 11.4. Okay, it's 11.49, but I'm going to claim it as 11.4. The 60 foot was reeled off in 1.8 seconds. Wow, that is seriously impressive. Now I'm just going to reset the race box, and we'll do a 0 to 100 and see how much that has improved as well. All right, we've got everything reset. Let me just make sure we're clear to go. Sports mode transmission. Oh, that is brutal. Oh, that's 100. Holy cow. Let's take a look at that 0 to 100 time. According to the race box, the 0 to 100 time now of this car is 3.37 seconds. Wow. So previously recorded a 3.7. On the books, it's supposed to be a 4.1. Either way you spin it, that is a awesome improvement considering there's no hardware changes. This is purely just tuning. And like I said before, we are getting a bit of slip on the front wheels at launch. A couple of things we could do is, I suppose, turn down the RPM or change to some sticky tires. But I think on the actual drag strip with the prepared surface, it'll go even faster than the 3.37 and the 11.49 and the quarter mile. So I'm chuffed. I'm going to take a minute, let's summarize. So there you go guys, that is my rundown of getting a stage 1 tune on my RS3 with a big thanks to Phil from Eurospec. So just to summarize, in the standard tune we got a quarter mile of 12 seconds and 0 to 100 in 3.7. Supposed to do 4.1 on paper, but anyway, that's how we tested it. And then after the tune, we got a quarter mile run of 11.4 and a 0 to 100 time of 3.3. So however you spin it, they are really solid improvements and I'm really happy with it. We got a stage 1 tune done on the ECU and we also got the DSG tune done. I think he called it a stage 3 on the DSG or whatever it was. Anyway, I can tell you the gear shifts are brutal. The launches are epic and will snap your neck. It's everything that we of course want as tuners. So I'm really happy. Massive thanks to Phil from Eurospec. And it's totally appropriate that we end this video here at the Perth Airport viewing area, and you can probably hear a jet going over because this car is now an absolute jet as well. That's it for now. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Consider subscribing, guys. Really helps the channel out. That's it from me. I'll see you next time.